Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fashion Files podcast with me, your host, Jelena. We are officially in the month of February, which feels weird, but at the same time, it feels good to be done with January. I'm sure all of you felt like it too. It was a weird, it was a weird month. I felt like it was really long, but also at the same time, it felt really short. And a lot of stuff happened in fashion in the past month and a half. The next post will be a sort of like recap of what's going on in the industry, some new insights, all of that sort of thing. So stay tuned for that in 2 weeks since we are every other week now. So stay tuned for that. But today we're going to be talking about the history of the Louis Vuitton Speedy Bag. So let's get right into it. So before we can really talk about the Speedy Bag, in 1930, Louis Vuitton introduced the Keepall bag, which was designed as more of a duffel for luggage. It was definitely traveling for the wealthy. That was their travel bag of choice, and they still have the bag today. It's a super popular bag. It's just the Louis Vuitton duffel bag. If you've seen it, I mean, you've probably seen it if you're into fashion and know the brand. You've definitely seen it. So, this bag in 1930 became a huge success for the brand, and it actually made the brand introduce a smaller interpretation of the bag, and they called this bag the Speedy. So, this was originally the original bag was only offered in 30 centimeters wide, and that was the only one they had until Audrey Hepburn requested that the company make a smaller version so she could carry the bag during her day to day life. This was in 1959 that she made that request. The brand listened because why wouldn't you listen to Audrey Hepburn at the time? I mean, to have your bags and your products on her, that was clearly an amazing moment. So they listened and then they actually created the timeless Speedy 25. And that is just a little bit smaller. It's 5 centimeters smaller than the original Speedy 30. And the Speedy 25 became a really popular bag for the brand. I mean, it's a great sized bag. It's not too big, it's not too small. You can fit just enough, and it really became one of those pieces that was a standout and everyone recognized it as Louis Vuitton. And this is a bag that we still see a lot today. You've probably seen they offer it in a variety of different sizes. The Nano, which is super tiny and cute. If you're a fan of the small bag trend, the micro bag, then that one's definitely for you. They also offer it in the 25, which was the one that Audrey Hepburn requested, the 30, which was the original, and then the 35 and 40, which are just two that are a little bit bigger. And they also reissue this bag in new styles, and they're also really used for collaboration. So if we're thinking back to 2017, immediately the Jeff Koons collaborations on the Speedy comes to mind. And then also another one that really comes to mind immediately for me is Marc Jacobs' collaboration and his use of Stephen Sprouse's graffiti work on the Speedy bags when he was creative director. That's just two that really come to mind for me. I think it's a great bag that they can use for collaborations with other artists and other graphic designers or people, just anyone basically, because it's such a timeless shape and it's such a shape it's just so Louis Vuitton. You know, you see the shape, you see the bag, you see the monogram, and you just know it's so classic LV. So that's why I think it makes such a great use for collaborations like we talked about with the Fendi baguette and the Dior saddlebag and the Dior Lady Dior. Those are all sort of classic shapes that are part of those brands' heritage, and that's why they do make for such great collaborations because it's easy to tie in once you have the shape and just those little details that make you think back to the brand. It's easy to tie in another artist and have it be a really cool collaboration. So that I think is great. They also have made some other changes to the bag as we're moving up in history. So in 2011, they introduced the Speedy with a strap. So it just added a long shoulder strap so that the bag could be worn more so on the shoulder and as a crossbody because the regular Speedy just has those two top handles and it can get a little uncomfortable to wear at times. I will talk about my personal experience with the bag a little later on. We'll get to that. But so yeah, this one they added a two-way zipper as well and the strap, and that was really the only differences. So then in 2015, they decided to sort of redesign the Speedy monogram to keep it up with modern times. They added an interior zipper pocket, and then they also did a little bit of different stitching on the handles. So that was another interesting little touch. The bag is actually made of canvas with leather handles and piping. So the leather is untreated and unprotected, cowhide leather, and it definitely darkens over the year with all LV products. If you have any of the leather products, all the straps darken. I sort of like that darkened look. I think it looks more vintage and well used. I don't want a bag to look like I've never touched it. I think like there's a certain, it just looks like well loved, and I think that's nice because you want your bags to be well loved. You don't just want them to sit on a shelf. And so the process of actually when the leather darkens over the years is called the patina, and that's a good indicator of if your LV item is authentic. So that you'll see it darken over time, and if it doesn't darken over time, that's usually a pretty good indicator that it's not authentic, and you should be questioning the leather quality and a lot of other things at that point. Yeah, and the Speedy really still, it just is one of those shapes that it will be a forever iconic piece for the brand. It comes with a lock and key, since the Keep All came with a lock and key as well, the Dat duffel bag. It's just a great bag for travel. So now getting into more of my personal experience with the bag, this was actually my first designer bag, and it was a great sort of like introduction to LV and introduction to luxury bags for me. I got this, I don't remember what age I was, but I don't remember. I'll have to think back, and if I figure it out, I'll post it on the Instagram or Twitter. But I had like a small little business when I was younger. I was selling like little, I was with my mom's business, and I was selling little like lavender sachet pillows. So, like to keep in your drawers, to keep moths away, and just to keep your clothes smelling really fresh. And I had this little business, and I was doing quite well at the time. So I decided I wanted to buy myself something nice, a little bag or something. And I went online and I was doing all my research because I'm someone that's been interested in fashion for as long as I can remember. And something to me that I also love is knowing the history of all the houses and just what makes them so special, where did their iconic pieces come from. All of that stuff is really interesting to me. That's why a lot of these episodes have been on the history of bags, and also I'm a major bag lover if you haven't been able to tell. But then when I was looking for a bag, I did a lot of research on the history of LV. It was sort of a brand that I instantly became intrigued by and obsessed with. And I went on eBay actually to purchase the bag. And I don't remember how much I paid for it either. I think it was like $200 maybe at the time. And I have the Speedy 25. I don't think I've said that. That was the one I got on eBay. And I still have it to this day. It's a bag that I love. It definitely has gotten a lot darker over the years. The patina really has happened. I do like it though. I think it looks very vintage and very cool. I'm not sure where the bag, how old it is and stuff like that. I know I got it from Hawaii, which is really random, but I remember having to wait a really long time for it to ship, and it smelled sort of like the ocean and just like a beachy vibe. And yeah, but it is a bag that I really love. I think you can do so many cool things with it. You can tie a little scarf on the handles. You can do so many cool things with it. And it is one of those classic pieces that I know I will have in my wardrobe and with me in my collection forever, because I think it also has that sort of sentimental value to me of my first sort of little like job and small business, and being able to purchase something for yourself, especially as like somewhat of like a kid at the time. Like that is really exciting and really nice, and a real privilege. So it will definitely be a bag that I hold in my collection forever. But I will say, going back to the top handles thing that I was talking about earlier, it is a bag that, for me at least, I tend to overload it and put way too much stuff in, and then it becomes very heavy, which is not great because it does only have those two top handles, and you have to hold it either like in your hand or like on your wrist. And I took it to Paris, like it was in 2019. So I took it to Paris in 2019. And it was, I think, the only bag I brought because it's a classic. It goes with everything. And I overloaded it with stuff every single day. My big camera, because I also do photography. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that on here, but I had my big camera, I had my phone, I had my wallet, I had sunglasses, I had makeup, I had everything in that bag. And by the end of the days, because I mean, at least when I'm on trips and traveling, I love to be out all day and all night. And I love to come home to the hotel room and feel like exhausted and fall into bed and then wake up the next morning and do it all again. I love to like really take in a city and do as much as possible. So I was out all day with the bag and I would get home to the hotel at night and I would find my wrists would really hurt and and my arms would hurt too. Like at one point I was like, "Oh my god, I think I pulled a muscle in my arm." And at first I couldn't really figure out what it was from. And then I realized it was that heavy bag. And I did actually try and go to the LV store at Place Vendôme and I tried to buy because they do sell now a shoulder strap attachment for the bag, but my bag is too vintage so that one of the sales associates there said it would not be a good purchase because it would further it just wouldn't it would I think he said it would like ruin the bag like moving forward, like it just wouldn't be good. It wouldn't attach right and just wouldn't keep the bag nice in shape. So he told me not to, which I was sort of disappointed about because that meant I still had to carry it with the top handles. But this is like once again the biggest like first world problem and definitely not trying to like complain about it, but just something to note. Don't overfill the bag unless you're just like going out all day and like you're in the car and like you have places to set the bag down. You're not fully having it on you constantly. But that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This was one of the first ones where I actually own a piece that I'm talking about, which is really exciting. I don't have a huge collection. I'm hoping to build it up throughout time. Obviously, I'm young. I'm only 21, so there is time. There is definitely time. Let me know in the comments down below or on Instagram at the Fashion Files Podcast or on Twitter at the Fashion Files Pod if you guys have this bag, what you think of it, what bag you're looking to get next, all of that good stuff. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Have a good one. Bye.